Hello, hello, hello. Are we on? Good morning, everyone. Good morning. And welcome to Unity of Vancouver. We are so happy to be here with you this morning. Please join us in singing a few songs. Our first song is called Love Is My Decision. Love is my decision. It's up to me to give up my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can help me forgive. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision. It's my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down that road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision. It's my decision right here and now. Sing that last verse again. Love is my decision. It's up to me to give up my heart. Love is my decision, and no one else can tell me to start. And when I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision. It's my decision right here and now. It's my decision right here and now. Great. Thank you. Wonderful singing, wonderful singing. Well, I name love, and I claim love, and I see it everywhere. Well, I name love, and I claim love, I see it everywhere. Because it's mine. Everlasting love of the divine. Well, I name I see it everywhere. I name it, and I claim it, I see it everywhere, because it's mine, this endless, everlasting love of the divine. Well, I name love, and I claim it, and I see it everywhere. Well, I name it, and I claim it, I see it everywhere. Because it's mine, this endless, everlasting love of the divine. Oh, I name it, and I claim it, and I see it everywhere. Well, I name it, and I claim it, and I see it everywhere. Oh, I name it, and I claim it, and I see it everywhere. Well, I name it, and I claim it, I see it everywhere. Thank you. We're going to add a little bit of sacred love. We've got a couple of minutes here to spare. You must know this one. We don't have the words up here, but we've sung it many times before. You are sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place. Such a holy place. Blessed peace. You are blessed peace. Blessed peace is all that you are. You are blessed peace. Blessed peace is all that you are. One more of those. You are blessed peace. Thank you, Bill. Blessed peace is all that you are. You are blessed peace. Blessed peace is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place. Such a holy place. Deepest joy, you are deepest joy. Deepest joy is all that you are. You are deepest joy. Deepest joy is all that you are. You are deepest joy. Deepest joy is all that you are. You are deepest joy. Deepest joy is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place, such a holy place. You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are.
Good morning, welcome to Unity of Vancouver in beautiful British Columbia. Beautiful, beautiful British Columbia, where it's raining right now, which is most unusual for us. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Today we're going to talk about how you can change your brain. And if that sounds technical and like something that's really sort of academic and intellectual, don't go there, because that's not who I am. But we are going to talk about how to change your brain. So stay with us for an incredibly powerful hour this morning at Unity of Vancouver. And to start, let's have Beverly Elliott and Bill Costin introduce the surface with their beautiful music.
Okay, speaking of brain, we're going to open our minds. When I open my mind, please sing with me. When I open my mind, when I open my mind, I see more clearly. When I open my mind, when I open my mind, when I open my mind, I see more clearly. When I open my heart, when I open my heart, when I open my heart, I see things differently. When I open my heart, when I open my heart, when I open my heart, I see things differently. When I open my soul, when I open my soul, when I open my soul, I see love. When I open my soul, when I open my soul, when I open my soul, I see love.
Good morning. I'm your host, Shirley Thompson. And this morning, the Dalai Lama tells us about his spirituality. This is my simple religion. There is no need for temples, no need for complicated philosophy. Our own brain, our own heart is our temple. The philosophy is kindness. Isn't that lovely? The great inventor, Nikola Tesla, said, "I do not think there is any thrill that can go through the human heart like that felt by the inventor as he sees some creation of the brain unfolding to success. Such emotions make a man forget food, sleep, friends, love, everything." Not in my world. And comedian George Jessel said, "The human brain starts working the moment you were born and never stops until you have to stand up and speak in public." And now, from our board member, Margaret McLeod, who will open us with a wonderful affirmative prayer.
Thanks. Thank you, Shirley, and good morning, everyone. So please join me now in an opening prayer. So I invite you to close your eyes and shift your awareness in. Just coming present to yourself, to the you that is sharing this spiritual journey with us. So Divine would take a nice deep breath in. On the out breath, go to your heart and feel there your own connection to your inner sacred. So Divine Creator, we come to you at the start of this service today to ask for a blessing and to welcome each other into this sacred space where we're reminded of who we are on a spiritual journey, spiritual beings in this human journey. So we acknowledge that we are blessed by Bob's meditation and his talk, by the musicians, and most of all by each other's company, that we give each other the sacredness of sharing this community, sharing our spiritual paths together as we wind our way home. We're aware that love's presence is always there, and we remember it especially on this time of a service when we come together to set aside the distractions of the outer world and to honor, acknowledge, refresh, and replenish our souls, our spirit, and our being. So we release this prayer now in gratitude and say thank you, thank you, thank you. Amen.
And now let's stand and join in singing the English translation of the Aramaic version of the Lord's Prayer.
Holy Spirit, creator and life of all, you create a space inside us and fill it with your presence. Our oneness now prevails. Your one desire flows through ours as energy fills all forms. You give us this day our physical and spiritual nourishment. You untangle the knots of error that bind us as we also release others. We don't let appearances make us forgetful of the source. We're born free to act from our highest nature. From your presence comes the glorious harmony of life. Now these words are fertile ground from which our future grows.
Breathing in life itself, energy itself, intelligence itself, because energy is intelligent. And that intelligent energy goes into your lungs, and from there out into every cell of your body, awakening it and bringing it into harmony with the other 40 trillion cells in your body. Starting with the bottom of your feet and gently elevating that grace upward as you feel it, as you experience it, the sensation of oneness, of balance, of love, filling your body. To the top of your head, it goes. Out through your fingertips, it goes. Into your marvelous, wonderful heart, it goes. And it smiles, and it sings, and it flows. You are breathing in the universe. You're breathing in love. You are made of energy. You are made of the universe. You are made of love. You are love. The entire universe and all the multiverses are one being, one intelligent energy, one great presence. And that, my dear, is your home. This is your home. You are loved. You are blessed. You are safe. And you are free. You are free, my dear one. You are being held in the arms of the great presence that sets you free to be all that you can be in joy and in love. Your body is completely well now. Your body is completely well. And your joy and your love and your peace. Be peace now. Be peace for 3 or 4 minutes until you hear the beautiful voice of Beverly bringing us back.
words I have to say may be simple, but they're true. Until you give your love, there's nothing more that we can do. Love is the opening door. Love is what we came here for. No one could offer you more. Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen? You say it's very hard to leave behind the life you knew. But there's no other way. Now it's really up to you. Love is the key we must turn. Truth is the flame we must burn. Freedom the lesson we must learn. Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen? Words I have to say may be simple, but they're true. Until you give your love, there's nothing more that we can do. Love is the opening door. Love is what we came here for. No one could offer you more. Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen? Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen?
Well, good morning, good morning. Here we are getting ready to kick off another morning of transformation, of changing our lives. And Beverly in the beautiful song was saying something about, you have to be willing to let go, to change, to let go of all that you knew, all that you were, all that belonged to you in order to get to where you want to go. It just makes sense, doesn't it? Abalone are really wonderful little creatures. I spent a lot of years diving for abalone and eating abalone, and I'm really fascinated by this, that when they are in the tiny, tiny, almost embryonic, like baby stage, they don't cling to a rock. They just kind of float. They're pelagic. They just float in the ocean. And then they come to a rock eventually, and they hang on, and then they build a shell around them. Sound like anyone you know? So what if we just kept floating? What if we just kept describing and discovering and involving ourselves in life rather than anchoring ourselves to an opinion, to an idea, to a thought? Incidentally, I spent a lot of time thinking about this thought, or about this talk today, and I did a lot of research, did a lot of reading, and eventually I had an outline that was about 18 pages long. And so I cut it down to 5 pages, then to 4 pages. Then this morning when I got here early, I went into the kitchen and got the scissors and the tape out. And it's a shredded mess. So if you see me looking, you'll know that I'm trying to put it all together. But in my process, I conferred with some really interesting people. One of them was Dr. Daniel Amen. Now, Dr. Daniel Amen is the guy who works with the NFL with traumatic brain injuries, with soldiers coming back from battle that have either had traumatic brain injuries or are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. And he works with them in reforming their brains, redeveloping their brains so that they can come back into normal civilization. And Dr. Daniel Amen says, to start us off with, ask yourself every day, is my behavior today getting me what I want? Your mind is powerful, and it makes happen what it sees. Focus and meditate on what you want. We're going to talk about why that is important to the brain as we move forward. Focus and meditate on what you want, not on what you don't want, on what you want. My dear wife, Mary, and I went down the Rogue River in Central Oregon in a raft, and there was a really treacherous rapids on the river. And we came to that treacherous rapids, and we just the two of us in this raft, and I just want to make sure. So we pulled the raft to the side, and I went up on the hill, and I studied that rapid, and it separated into several different things, and then it dropped down, and then there was a big rock sitting just below that's called Volkswagen, because it kind of looks like a Volkswagen sticking up. And I looked at that and I said, those rapids are all heading towards Volkswagen. I got to put that boat in the water, and I got to engineer it in such a way that I stay around that on one side or the other. And I focused on that. And so when finally I studied long enough, we went down and got in the boat and went through the rapids and went right up on Volkswagen. Because that's where I was focused. I was focused on Volkswagen. So now my wife over the years tells me, let's not focus on Volkswagen, on different things, because that's exactly where you'll go. So Dr. Amen is saying, focus and meditate on what you want, not what you don't want. Michio Kaku said, get a hold of this, said the brain has 100 billion neurons. Each neuron is connected to 10,000 other neurons. In other words, you have 10 billion nerve cells in your brain. 10 billion! Holy smokes! 10 billion! And each one of those neurons has 10,000 connections to other neurons. Oh my goodness. Michio Kaku goes on to say, sitting on your shoulders is the most complicated object in the known universe. Boy, that is so true. My dear friend Richard Robertson, who I'll talk about in a little bit, has said that there are people around the world studying the brain and have been studying the brain for years and years and years, and it's still a great mystery that they're unfolding. Because interfaced with the brain is the mind. Now, wait a minute. Is the brain the mind, or is the mind the brain, or is the brain creating the mind, or is the mind creating the brain? And yes, that's true. And then we are spiritual beings. We are consciousness. That's neither mind nor brain. We are consciousness. We are beingness. We are eternal spiritual of a brain that's functioning and that's balanced. Now, what we're not going to talk about here in the talk today, but I just want to mention it, is that I'm talking about this brain. this dual hemisphere brain. But your heart is a brain. Your heart has 40,000 neurons. Your heart has 100,000 connections, neuronal connections. And the heart sends more information to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. Oh my gosh, the heart. We're talking about love, punk. We're talking about love. Now, the heart is not the only brain. There's also a gut brain. And we're just knowing that now through scientific discoveries, but it makes me wonder if I also don't have a big toe brain or an ear brain. See, I think maybe the whole body is a consciousness, awareness, consciousness, and that each part of the body is feeding back into the whole, and all of those are coming up and being assimilated by this up here. So we got to be in charge of this up here. Let's get on. Science teaches us that our brains, by their nature, are not fixed, but are flexible. They're not fixed, but they're flexible. A great, I think he's passed now, but a great Canadian neuropsychologist, Daniel Webb, said this, and it's become byline throughout brain sciences and brain neurology and even psychology, is that neurons that fire together wire together. Let me say that again. Neurons, nerve cells that fire together wire together. Now, what that means is that when I have a thought, and that thought goes from one neuron to the other through the dendrites and back and forth to the different neurons, and that creates a network. There's a network then. When I was a boy, I think I told you the story before, but one time we lived on a farm or a ranch, and in the wintertime it rained and rained and rained, and the lanes down between the pastures, where we went down with the tractor in the lanes, and we'd go through an opening into the pasture to feed the cattle, to bring bales of hay to the cattle. And in the wintertime, we'd go down into these pastures. The mud was so deep that we'd create ruts. And then in the summertime, you didn't really even have to steer, because the tractor just followed the ruts. Make sense to our minds? When the neurons that fire together, wire together. Therefore, when you get a thought, or you find yourself continually thinking, I just can't do this. Oh God, I am so stupid. I can't believe how stupid. Why do I do you're just wiring some neurons together, and then once you've got them wired together, you don't have to think about it anymore. They just go by themselves. That thought just becomes automatic. Whenever you have a certain feeling, boom, you get this thought. Whenever you see a certain person, boom, you get this thought. Every time. So that's the neurons that, thank you, Daniel Webb, neurons that fire together, wire together. The result from having focused then on disasters, on tragedies, and the news is full of it, isn't it? And God, there are so many buttheads out there in the world. There are so many evil, dark people doing terrible things. And out of 8 billion, there's probably 500. Oh, well, let's go. Maybe there's 500,000. Out of 8 billion. Good, happy, joyful people who just want peace and to raise their families in joy and to be abundant and have a roof over their head and food to eat and a bed to sleep in and schools and good lives. That's all they want. But we're focused, aren't we, most of us, on the tragedy, on the bad news. And when we're focused on the tragedy and the bad news, neurons that fire together, wire together. The result of doing that is mind paralysis, isn't it? Isn't it? It's mind paralysis. because we're focused on the dark and dangerous aspects of life, and then our creativity gets shut down. Our creativity gets shut down. I mean, you just figured this out. If you're like going, can you go and make a really nice cake? Not really. In order to create, we need to be flowing with that universal energy and intelligence that we call God. That is Great Spirit, that is Holy Spirit, that is the great presence. And you can't do that when you're all balled up inside with the stuff. Edward de Bono said, humor is by far the most significant activity of the human brain. Humor is by far the most significant activity of the human brain. To which Groucho Marx replied, I've got the brain of a 4-year-old. I'll bet he was glad to get rid of it. So we're not our bodies, and we're not our brains, and we're not our minds. Then who are we? And the answer to that is complicated, and it's yet very, very easy. We are the universe. We are is, capital I, capital S. We are each one elements of the greatness that has ever been. When we look into the face of a beautiful flower, that's us. Please hear this. You can only see what you are. Now, I don't mean with your eyes. I mean, you see a lot of things with your eyes. I'm talking about seeing. I'm not talking about looking. I'm talking about seeing. You can only see what you are. So if you look into that flower and you see the velvet of the petals, and you see how the purple fades into the blue and then into the yellow, and you say, that can't be true. You can't do that. If you painted that, that would look stupid. But how beautiful that is. And you feel it. You can feel it because you are the flower. There is no separation in the universe. Everything is, and you are, is. So all of it is one. All of it is one. Now, I talked about Dr. Rick Robertson. Oh, well, let me say first that Dr. Amen also created an acronym called ANT, A-N-T, Automatic Negative Thinking. Just wanted to toss that out there. Automatic negative thinking. That's what happens when we get that rut in the laying into the pasture of our minds. Automatic negative thinking. We can change that. I talked to Dr. Robertson, Dr. Richard Robertson, what I call him Rick, he's just my buddy. Some of you know him from classes that we've done that he's been in. He's the professor emeritus of anatomy and neurobiology at the University of California. And I asked him about, I said, Rick, I'm going to be talking on Sunday about how do you change your brain. Give me some ideas. And he said, Bob, neuroscience is the studies of expression of cell-secreted neurotrophins that aid axonal target selection in developing cerebral cortex, including both neocortex and hippocampal formation. Experiments use tissue slice and disassociated cell culture techniques to understand how expression of neurotrophin 3 guides cholinergic axons to form synapses with cortical neurons. What? He said also, Bob, don't say that to the congregation. What he told me is that the brain is always remodeling itself. And mostly we just go along with the influences around us. They'll let the influences from the outside of us, news forecasts or pessimistic people or people that are angry, whatever. We let that form our brains. However, with mindfulness, Rick said, with mindfulness training and with care, we can remodel the brains as we choose. Rick told me about mirror neurons, which work this way. If you carefully watch someone doing something, like somebody's chopping wood or somebody's painting, and you're watching them, now just not looking at them, but watching them, really seeing them and being one with what they're doing, when they measure the neurons that are firing in that person's brain and the neurons that are firing in your brain, they're the same. They're the same. So when you watch something that you love, when you watch somebody painting, we have a painting class coming up on the 27th, I think that is that 26th? Or 25th, right here. And it's a place where we just come and just open our hearts and learn to express the beauty inside of us. You might check that out. That's an exciting thing to do. I'm going to be there, incidentally. But when we're in that path, when we're opening the painting, and it's Tuesday. But you can do that. You can learn. You can inhale the universe. You can watch the way the clouds form. That's the most beautiful mystery in all the world. The way clouds form. You'll never see two clouds alike, and you see the darkness on the bottom, and it rolls round and round, and then it's white on top, and the blue skies beyond, and it blows your mind. And you just look at that, and you try to figure out how that. But something comes inside of you, and it remodels your brain. It brings into you the intelligence of the universe. It brings into you the wisdom of the universe. And you can't say it in words. There are no words for that cloud. There are no words for love. There are no words for God. There's no words for that energy that flows through all things. We put it in English language, and I sort of bounce it out, and these beautiful musicians sing it to us, and we try to kind of get there. But we have to go there on our own. Each one of us has to open ourselves to that. Open ourselves to that. I just wanted to mention that regarding mirror neurons, which Rick calls which he calls empathic neurons, and he calls them empathic neurons because they're empathetic to what they're watching. He calls them empathetic neurons. So he told me that that there was a study done in a college where they got 3 groups of people and shooting hoops from the free-throw line, shooting hoops in a basketball court, just shooting hoops. So they had one group of this people. None of them were basketball players. They got one group of people, and they spent like a month just shooting hoops, just for several hours a day or whatever, just shooting hoops. They had a second group that did nothing. They just went about their daily activities, but they kind of thought about, I'm in the study and it's about basketball. And they got the third study that meditated on shooting hoops, the distance, how my hand had to go, the ball, the path the ball had to go through. At the end of the study, they found that the people who thought about that had every bit as much accuracy in shooting hoops as the people who shot the hoops for that period of time. Whereas those other people who didn't do that study of thinking about that, they were no good at all at shooting hoops. So what that showed is that you could learn by going into your brain, into your mind. You can learn to do that which you have never done. You can actually learn how to have your physical body do that which you've never done. This is the master of your body. You can train it, and it can give you anything you've ever dreamed of, but you only have to be willing to let go of that which you haven't dreamed of. So, one of the most effective ways of training your brain is to know that you are significant. And the way to do that is to erase the identity of insignificance by serving something greater than you are, by volunteering. And I know that it sounds like I'm sort of recruiting you to come to Unity of Vancouver and volunteer. But if it sounds like that, it's only because it's true. I'm volunteering my life and my time because it opens me, and it makes me, it gives me significance. It makes me feel like I have value in the world. I'm here because I want to train my brain. I want to be able to truly smell the richness of the earth and the forests and the flowers. I want to be able to drink in the colors, the rainbows, the sunsets, the faces, and the depths of my lover's eyes. I want to hear music, not in my ears, but in my soul. I want a brain that's awake and aware and filled with joy. That's my choice. That's our choice. That's yours and mine.
I know that I got this. I know that I know I got all that I need, so it's time to let it go. I'm through with complaining and living life small. Every emotion, I want to feel them all. Spent too much time censoring who I am. I am open, I am willing, I am feeling free and clear. Finally I'm seeing I am worthy to be here. I am here. I am here to be here. I am present. I let it all be. Well, I have uncovered the truth about me. The veil has been lifted that's kept me apart. I'm no longer hiding. I'm ready to start. I step into my power and trust my heart. I am open, I am willing, I am feeling free and clear. Finally I'm seeing I am worthy to be here. I am here. I am here to be here. No place I would rather be. It's time to let the whole world see this brilliant light that shines through me is who I am, who I really am. I am ready, I am moving, I am letting go of fear. And finally I know I am enough. I am open, I am willing, I am feeling free and clear. Finally I'm seeing I am worthy to be here. I am here. I am here to be here. I am here right now. I am willing. I am open. I am willing. I am feeling free and clear. I am open. I am willing. I am feeling free and clear to be here. I am here to be here.
So let's be here. The first step in changing those automatic thinking and subconscious messages of discouragement and insignificance, the first step in that is for us to want to be different, to want something more than what we have in our lives, to want to have the joy, to want to have the full experience. So if you went to the theater to see a really great movie, and you were just partway through it, and somebody whispered to you, "You've got an emergency phone call." And you said, "Okay." So you went out in the lobby and you took the phone call and you came back. And then you went out in the lobby and took another phone call. And you went out and then you came back and then the movie was over. That's life. Let's not go to the lobby. Let's stay here. Let's stay in the game. And if we get knocked over, let's get back up. If we get knocked down, let's get back up. If we get knocked down once, let's get up twice. Let's get back up. Let's get back in the game. And let's constantly be remodeling our minds, remodeling our brains. Our Dr. Daniel Amen, who I've talked about before, said, like a muscle, the more you use the brain, the stronger it becomes and the more it can do. The opposite is also true. The less you work it, the weaker it becomes. Psychologist Dr. Francine Shapiro accidentally discovered a thing called EMDR. Do you know about EMDR? If you don't know about EMDR, I'm going to tell you this is really great. Dr. Shapiro had just gotten a bad diagnosis. I don't know what it was. And she walked out of the hospital and she was walking out kind of into the garden area. And as she was feeling this incredible dread and trauma going on, she noticed that she started having her eyes go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And as that happened, this trauma, this dread came back into balance. And it was not so bad. And she was curious about that. And being an inventive kind of doctor that she was, she really investigated that. And she found that, so we have two lobes of our brain, left brain lobe and right brain. Now, I'm going to make this up because I don't know if it's true. I believe it's true. I don't know if it's true. You can just do what you want with it. But I believe that when you have an experience, and we're here in life to grow in wisdom and joy by experiencing and then expressing the experiences. And we have an experience, and sometimes we only express part of it. Like we just express the part that fits with the rut in our pasture, in our brain pasture. We just express just that part. Well, I tell you, I just couldn't believe it. You know what she said to me? Oh my God, you're not even going to believe what she said to me. She said, and then you go on and tell the story of what she said to you. Well, she said other things too, but we don't remember those because those don't fit with the rut. So Dr. Shapiro said after a while that this going back and forth actually takes those experiences and helps them balance into the left and right lobe of the brain. So this part that is the thinking, logical, square-cornered part goes into that part of the brain, and the part that's creative, romantic, beautiful, flowing, goes into the other part of the brain. Those are like the two sides of the brain, but it's also the brain and the limbic system, when the limbic system is more passionate, more concerned with emotions. So that balance needs to happen. So when you go back and forth with your eyes, while experiencing the trauma, it balances that trauma in your brain, and the trauma of it, because it's traumatic, because it's not balanced, right? It's traumatic because it hasn't been assimilated out, and the books haven't all gotten filed in their proper shelves, and so it's still a mess. So it gets balanced, it gets cataloged, it gets choreographed. So EMDR has become really a leading therapeutic tool for helping you get rid of post-traumatic stress disorder, old depressions, old phobias. It's just. I know it works because I just went to like 3 sessions, and I had something that was really dark in my life, and it's still there, but it's not dark anymore. It just isn't. And I walked out of that session and I was fine. Now I'm going to teach you something that she also taught us. And this is called havening, Havening, havening. And you go to havening.org and get this. And that's that if you take your hands, and this is one side, this is the left side of the brain, this is the right side of the brain, and you rub them together like that, while you're experiencing that trauma or while you're thinking about that trauma, you minimize that trauma. Want to do it even more, and we'll do this together now, even more completely, is if you take your hands like this and rub them up and down and think of something that's really bothering you, something that's painful, some old phobia. Just put it in your mind and do that while you're going up and down. Just keep thinking about that while you're going up and down. Bring it to your mind. Hold it there. This thing that's been really heavy on your mind. Keep it going. Keep it going. Keep it going. Okay? Does it feel different? It does, doesn't it? It feels different because what you've started to do is take that information and put the information into your brain in a balanced way rather than it just being a jumble of non-cataloged information. So that's one way that we can actually change our brain. Louis Neiser said, "A man who works with his hands is a laborer. A man who works with his hands and his brains is a craftsman. A man who works with his hands and his brains and his heart is an artist." We need to be artists. We need to be artists in our lives. We need to dance with the music of the universe, to paint with the colors of the sky. We need to be able to do that, and in order to do that, we need to be able to set ourselves free. So the brain's job is simply to be aware of and correlate ideas. Aware of what, though? And correlate what ideas? Dr. Amen has done such extensive work on the brain, and he created ANT, the automatic negative thinking that we need to remember, ANT. And unless we're studying or creating, our thinking is largely automatic. And it's okay that it's automatic. But we just want the ruts in our lane to go to the right pasture, to the one of joy, not to the one of sorrow or heartache or worry or anxiety. I told you, they're all just stapled together, taped together. So Louis Neiser also dream of it. Live on that idea. Let the brain, muscles, nerves, every part of your body be full of that idea. And just leave every other idea alone. This is the way to success. And you say, well, but, I got a lot of ideas. I don't want to get rid of all of my other ideas. I like those ideas. That's great. Now, I want you to think about your ideas, your goals, your visions, like they were a string of pearls that are not knotted in between each pearl, and the string breaks and the pearls fall over. When you had that on, there was the largest pearl was in the center, and they were graduated down to the smallest pearls. Now you're going to get a needle and thread, and you're going to pick them up through the little holes in them. You're going to pick them up. Which one do you pick up first? Pick up the big one, pick up the little one, you have to pick them up in order so that they all come back in order. Otherwise it's just a mess. What we're doing, what Louis Neiser is telling us, and what we're doing with the triangle is we're saying you take a vision, a small vision, that leads you to a greater vision, that leads you to a greater vision, that leads you to a life works vision, to a life purpose vision, and you take that one vision and you let it lead you to the next vision and next vision, and you accomplish each one of them. You accomplish each one of them through the work on the triangle. We change our brains. We change our brains by joyful emotions, affirmative thinking, and affirmative actions, says Dr. Rick Robertson. There is no end game, he says. It's a lifelong process. It's a lifelong. Let's start it today. The brain is the most intricate and unlimited computer possible, with 100 billion neurons and 10,000 connections. It's superior to the most powerful computer on earth. It's that powerful, and it's your servant, and it's sitting inside of your head. You train it to do anything you want. It starts with admitting what you want and then training the brain to get it for you. We're not our brains, we're not our minds, because we frequently say, I'm changing my mind. Who's the I that's changing the mind? Don't you think it's time now for the real us to rise up? A human family. We're accountable for the effect we have on that human family. I think it's time for us not only to rise up in response to the responsibilities to the world around us, but to rise up in responsibility to ourselves to live lives of joy and of purpose and of meaning. Don't you think it's time to rise up?
When I'm feeling down and blue, I've found a trick that I'll share with you. I can choose a better way with every little thought I think. When I'm feeling down and blue, I found a trick that I'll share with you. I can choose a better way with every little thought I think. If I wake up with a bad attitude, I fill my mind with gratitude. I give thanks for everything with every little thought I think. I can choose to be happy, choose to be free, moment by moment. It's all up to me, 'cause what I think about, I bring about. That's the way it is, and there is no doubt. Day by day I pave the way with every little thought I think. What you thinking, 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 what you thinking. You gotta watch your thinking, 'cause wake up with a bad attitude, I fill my mind with gratitude. I give thanks for everything with every little thought I think. I can choose to be happy, choose to be free, moment by moment. It's all up to me, 'cause what I think about, I bring about. That's the way it is, there is no doubt. Day by day I pave the way with every little thought I think. Yes, day by day I pave the way with every little thought I think. Day by day I pave the way with every little thought I think. What you thinking? 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 You gotta watch your thinking. You got to watch your thinking. Watch your thinking. Thank you.
I paved the way with every little thought I think. Oh man, is that ever true? What's really interesting is how Beverly always reads my mind and flows the music right into what I'm talking about. It's beautiful. It's just, must be spiritual of some kind, some connection of some kind. Regarding the brain, just finally, regarding the brain, the founders of Unity, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, like 135 years ago, set about creating a program, and it eventually became Unity, whereby they said if you have positive prayers, which by which I mean you don't come and kneel before some God and say, please give me, but instead you know that you are one with that Holy Spirit and that you acknowledge that. And as Jesus said, knowing your prayers are answered. And they said, that positive prayers, so you have a positive prayer. And that's what our prayer chaplains do. And after the service today, when the music stops, there'll be prayer chaplains up in front and you can come and they will pray with you, but they aren't going to kneel down and pray the whole let it be. They're going to bring the affirmative power of prayer forward. So that affirmative prayer, affirmative behaviors, affirmative thinking, using affirmations, not only remodel the brain and change your life, but they change our world. And that's what Charles and Myrtle Fillmore started 135 years ago. And it's still going on all over the world. Here at Unity of Vancouver, we have programs constantly to help you bring yourself into the highest level of living possible. And some people might say, well, that's not very spiritual. We're talking about brains, we're talking about money, we're talking about abundance. That's all spiritual. All of it's spiritual. Our lives are spiritual. Everything that we do, everything that we have, everything that we give is spiritual. Everything is made of space. Everything is made of everything like this lectern right here that you're looking at, solid. It's made up of 99 point, keep that in your mind. Now put 12 nines after that. And that's how much space there is here. 99.99999999999% space. Looks like it's solid, it's not solid. Everything is space. Everything is moving. You're moving, your body's moving. Everything is changing. Everything's flowing. And that's what we're here to do, is to help you bring that into your consciousness so that you can live the most exciting, most meaningful, most purposeful, most powerful life possible. So tell your friends, tell other people to come and join you in this. We're not religious, but we're deeply spiritual. And if you have the ability to help us financially, this is the time to do that. Please be generous in helping us move this ministry, this message back out to the world. Can you tell us how, Shirley?
Thank you, Bob. We hear constantly how our messages and our music and our classes are uplifting lives and families. And we're most grateful for your donation today of whatever you can afford to help us continue to grow. Please know that whatever you give is coming back to you right now, multiplied in every way you can imagine. Now let us hold our offering to our hearts and say our offering affirmation all together now. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And now, if you want to drop off your donations at the back when you exit the sanctuary, that would be great. And to donate online, simply click on the donate link in your chat window, which will allow you to give via all major credit cards. And you can also donate by e-transfer, addressed to donations@unityofvancouver.org. And once again, if you're on Zoom or YouTube, you'll find a donate link in your chat window. And now, while we're making our donations, let's enjoy a few minutes of beautiful music performed by the wonderful Bill Costin. That made me feel very relaxed. So we have a couple of announcements. On this coming Tuesday, February 21st, we have our Fat Tuesday coffee house downstairs. It's the day before. Yes. And it's going to be fabulous music by Beverly.
There's myself and Linda Kidder and Tom Arnson and Meg Tennant. She's a friend of ours who plays folk music. Katrina Murphy's going to come with violin. And Alex, I can't remember his last name, he plays amazing guitar. My partner Chris Nolan will be there. And we have spots for 6 open mics. So the first 6 people that sign up. Jacques, are you signing up? Yes, and to have come and do a song, somebody from the congregation. So it's going to be an amazing night. It's going to be amazing.
They always are.
Yeah.
We are so lucky. So that'll be downstairs at 7:30. And please, if you can, bring a goodie to share. It can be a dessert, an appy, fruit, whatever you want. So we all have lots to nibble on while we enjoy the fabulous music. And next Saturday, the 25th, will be a fundraiser for Unity called Love Creating Love. Kayla Tomlin is going to be, and because Anne Devolin, who usually offers the lattes to anyone new, is away sick today, we're postponing that. But next week, if you're new here for the first time today, you can still get a latte next week. But please join us downstairs for coffee and tea and cookies and fellowship. Now, today's affirmative prayer chaplains are Barbara Richards, Mike Richards, Raymond Lancaster, and on Zoom, Len Satoff. And if you'd like a private confidential prayer with one of our chaplains, simply come to the front after the service, and they'll be over here after the music's finished to support you in prayer. And if you're watching on YouTube, we'll show you how you too can participate with prayer support in a few minutes. Bob, would you like to talk about your triangle?
Yeah, just quickly, I mentioned the triangle yesterday that we had, triangle training that we had yesterday. This is a triangle that I created in 1979, and it's been vetted by hundreds of thousands of people around the world. And what I mean by vetted is that it's got a lot of different steps to it, but those were changed as I watched how people worked with that, and then I changed it a little bit, and it flows so beautifully. It is using be, do, have in a way you've never dreamed of it before. And if you want to change your life, if you have something that you want to achieve or attain in your life, whether it's relationships or health or money or creativity or career or whatever it is, don't flounder around and take pot shots at it. Put it in a format that will guarantee that you get it. Guarantee that you get it. That's March 4th on Saturday from 12:30 till 2 right here. And while I have the floor, I just want to mention that the love creating art process or program that's going to be going on the 25th. I did the first one of those. I'm going to be there. My wife Mary's going to be there. This is incredible. Kayla is an absolute genius in guiding you to bring that flower of your soul out onto canvas. You just have to be there. Thank you, Shirley. So let's do together now the prayer for protection. And let us include all those people around the world in Syria and all those people in all the parts of the world, including in Russia, who are suffering, who are uneasy, and for whom life just isn't working out real well right now. Let's hold them in our minds as we say this prayer for protection and let that energy go out to them. Together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you.
And now let us stand and join in our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace I was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace.